Jake Asman Show on the SportsMap Radio Network.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. Need a mortgage that fits your life? Rocket can.
Live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Studios, here's Jake Asman.
Big O'Reilly Auto Parts. For all your car care needs, get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. So yesterday, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury held their first joint press conference ahead of their July 24th trilogy fight. The last time those guys fought, Tyson Fury just dismantled Deontay Wilder. It was the second fight, of course, after the first fight was epic. It ended up being a draw. There was so much hype and excitement after the first fight into the second fight. I was in the building at the MGM Grand in Vegas last February for that fight, 18 months ago. And Fury just dominated him. And then after that fight, Deontay Wilder did not lose gracefully. He came up with all these excuses. He fired his trainer for throwing in the towel when his trainer basically saved his life because he was getting his tuchus kicked by Tyson Fury. He accused Tyson Fury of using like illegal gloves. He had all these wild conspiracy theories. He just could not accept defeat. So you're thinking yesterday, all right, well, let's see what Wilder has to say. You know, he's accused Fury of cheating, essentially. Is he going to answer questions about that? And this was the only thing in the entire press conference yesterday that Deontay Wilder said at the podium. Mind you, this is his lone comment. There were no follow-ups. He refused to answer any questions. This was the only thing we got yesterday from the former heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay Wilder.
I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'd like to thank my amazing team. And I'd like to thank my strong legal team as well. Look, enough said. Time to cut off his head. And come July the 24th, there will be bloodshed. Get your tickets now. I'll see you soon.
Why would you ever want to buy this fight if that's all you're going to get? Your job as a boxer is to be a promoter as well. You have an obligation to promote the fight. And that's all he says. That's all he says. Mike Coppinger of The Athletic, friend of the show, he tweeted this yesterday. He's spot on. Bizarre stuff from Deontay Wilder. You have an obligation to promote the fight. All these wild accusations, and now he won't answer questions. He's sitting up there with headphones on silently. That was weak from Deontay Wilder. I like Deontay Wilder, but man, ever since Fury beat the you-know-what out of him in that fight last February, Fury is way more likable, way better at selling the fight, way better at just selling boxing. And all Deontay Wilder could do was just sit up there and say nothing. That was weak yesterday by Deontay Wilder.
Well, that's the problem that boxing is having right now because there's nothing interesting about the sport. I mean, in this calendar year, the biggest fights have been a YouTube star against a retired boxer or a basketball player fighting a musician. I mean, these are the type of fights that we're blessed with now.
Or two, former champions fighting one another, like Mike Tyson and Roy Jones.
I mean, that's what the king of sport has came to.
It's sad. It's sad. And I give credit to Fury. So Fury was asked, since Wilder wouldn't answer any questions, they asked Fury what he thought about Deontay Wilder not answering any questions at the presser.
It shows how weak of a mental person he is, and how much of the beating from the last fight has took an emotional, physical effect on his life. I was worried about Deontay Wilder for quite a while after the defeat that I gave him. And obviously he's doing his little thing with his earphones on and he doesn't want to answer any questions.
I love that from Tyson Fury. And then in typical Tyson Fury fashion, because someone's got to try and promote this fight, this was Tyson Fury on what his game plan is going up against Deontay Wilder for the third time.
I gave my game plan away the first time because he wasn't good enough to do anything about it. And I'll do the same thing this time because he's not good enough to do anything about it. Deontay Wilder's a one-trick pony. He's got one punch power. We all know that. Great. But what I'm going to do to Deontay Wilder this time is I'm going to run him over as if I'm an 18-wheeler and he's a human being. And I guarantee you he does not go past where he did before. Because before I only had 5 or 6 weeks of practicing what I was going to do to him. This time I've had 18 months of practicing what I'm going to do to him. So I anticipate it's going to be like an 18-wheeler running over somebody. And that's what you're going to see. I'm building my weight up. I'm trying to get up to 300 pounds for this fight. Because I'm looking for a big knockout straight away.
I love it. At least Fury gives you something. I mean, God, that guy at least, tries to promote his fights. I know a novel concept. I mean, Wilder, I don't even go out and predict victory and say all this random and crazy trash talk, but you can't not say anything after you had all these wild accusations and conspiracy theories on why you lost. The ref was against you. Your trainer cost you a chance to win the fight. Fury's using illegal gloves. Everything, until the cows come home that Wilder was saying. I mean, what are we doing? That's weak. And this fight really should not be happening. Wilder should have took step-aside money, and we should have got this summer Fury and Anthony Joshua so we could get a unified heavyweight champion of the world. But instead, Wilder exercised his rematch clause, took it to an arbitrator, won, and now we have this forced fight coming up in July. I don't think this fight's going to be close. I don't think there's a lot of buzz. I think Fury's the better boxer. I think he proved it. The first fight, you could argue Fury won the fight until Wilder, with his one-punch power, did get Fury down on the mat. And then it ended up being a draw. And then you saw what happened when Fury had real time to prepare, implement his game plan. He dominated. It wasn't even close. Watching it in person, it wasn't even close. Fury was far and away better in that fight. And I think a lot of people who bought the first fight, are you buying the second one? Is there demand for this fight? I mean, maybe there would be if these press conferences were wild. But you know what they also did at this press conference? Their stare down was just 5 minutes long of them just looking at one another. It was boring. Who cares? Oh, they looked at each other for 5 minutes. Great. ESPN and Fox are partners on this broadcast. Try and sell this pay-per-view. They're trying to tweet out this social media clip of just two guys looking at each other for 5 minutes. That's not selling a fight. Boxing just does it to itself, man.
Guarantee that ESPN and Fox are trying to foot the bill with one another.
It's just,
you take the.
You know what? We actually don't want this fight. We're good. Problem with boxing, and Ron said it best earlier in the segment. Problem with boxing is its biggest fights this year have been involving YouTube stars or TikTokers. UFC continues to just do laps around the sport of boxing, and it's a shame because I really like boxing. It's fun to cover, it's fun to watch, but when you have Deontay Wilder not answering any questions at a press conference, which is designed to help promote the fight, that's a problem.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated text messages. Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt.